Well, we're taking it easy and we're feeling fine. Put a little stitching here on Island Time. If you get in a hurry, well, it's not a crime. But won't you come and join us on Island Time?
Hello, FlossTube. Thank you for joining us today here on Island Time. My name is Mallory, Bosse. This is my mom, Lori Millsap, and together we are stitching on Island Time. It is January 2025, and my gosh, it feels like it's already been a whirlwind of a new year. My Januaries are always busy because they feature not only both of my children's birthdays, but also my wedding anniversary. This year was our 15th wedding anniversary. So huge shout out to our tech support guy and my husband, Mike. And also, because I failed to shout him out the last couple of videos, huge shout out to our musician that sings our intro music, my dad, Dennis Millsap. Thank you so much for our jingle because it really makes starting these videos fun.
It is. I enjoy it every time when Mallory says, I think it's uploaded, check and see. It always starts with Dennis singing, and that makes me so happy.
It's super cute. And he was so sweet. When I told him we needed a jingle, he was pretty much like, okay, say less.
Yes, yes.
Composed it, performed it, did the little whistly part as well. Gosh, he's so talented.
Yes, he is.
We are very blessed.
Yes.
But the last time you saw us was for our whip parade, which was right at the beginning of the month, maybe the end of December.
I think the end of December. We were looking forward to the things that I was going to carry into 2025. So our last regular FlossTube was in the middle of December,
Right.
where we talked about the things we had been working on since Thanksgiving. So this will continue that normal that normal FlossTube progression. So this is episode 5.
Episode 5.
I don't think we've actually talked about what we're going to call this one, so
we'll figure it out. It'll be a surprise for you guys.
and
for us.
You'll already know, but we'll be surprised. Okay. We had so much fun. Christmastide was quiet and gentle and lovely. And then before Christmas season is even over, we had the first birthday party. Then the following week, we have Mike and Mallory's anniversary. And then the following week after that, we have the other grandchild's birthday. So it's been real busy. We probably could have recorded this video last Saturday, but instead, Mallory and I went to a wonderful day of stitching in Raleigh with a group of stitchers who hosted Cissy Bailey Smith of Gentle Pursuit Designs for the day, for a class, and it was fantastic.
It was marvelous. She was a sweetheart. And the first half of the day was spent basically drooling over all of her beautiful antiques that she had brought to share with us.
I had never seen things like some of the things she brought. They were just so beautiful. I'm a military wife and we've traveled all over the country. And so rather than collecting all of those years, I purged every 2 years so that we could move.
Right.
And so I have nothing to show for all of those years. I mean, just really only the essentials to run a household. But even now that I have entrenched myself in this home for 20 years, I just don't have the heart of a collector. And so it's so impressive to see someone who has, accumulated such beautiful things over time. Cissy has been a professional stitcher for years and years. She is a beautiful stitcher and does lovely designs. You can find her here on FlossTube. I will link her in our description below. But I did want to talk a little bit. What we went there for was a class where she taught us to do nun stitch, which I had never done before. I can't really say that I've done it yet. Because I did a small amount of nun stitch, but it was a beautiful design to make a sewing bag and a little
They call it needle book.
A needle book, but it's almost the shape of a scissor pouch.
It
so
does look like a scissor pouch to me.
right. So I think it could play both roles. I think you
Mhm.
could stick a little piece of felt in there for your needles and slide your scissors in. It might be able to hold them both. But anyway, beautiful design. We'll put some pictures in so that you can see it. Did you
Yes.
bring your little?
I did. I
Oh,
brought
okay,
mine.
great. So
Do you want me to show it off now or later?
we'll show it later in
Okay.
our haul because that was part of our day.
Definitely part of the haul.
Yeah.
For sure.
I was so grateful that I even learned about that day. We are members of Tar Heel State Stitchers, which is a Facebook group. And so on that page, I was able to see that this event was coming up and that they still had seats. And so we had signed up in November, and it made for a fun Saturday.
It really was. And I'm grateful that the weather held out for us. We were told it was going to be storming, raining hard to and from. Thankfully, the rain hit while we were in the beautiful outbuilding that we were doing our class in. Martha Derbyshire has a building with a kitchen attached that was fantastic for when it was time for lunch.
Yeah,
in there.
it was a great classroom.
We stayed dry.
Yes, it was beautiful, and they were so sweet. The Raleigh ladies were so gracious,
Mhm.
welcomed us in. It all in all, it couldn't have gone nicer.
Yeah, it was a delightful day. We made lots of fun new friends and got to drool over the beautiful things that Cissy had. I'll definitely put pictures up so that you can see some of them. Oh my gosh, you guys, looking at these things in person and appreciating the fact that this was stitched by someone by hand 200 years ago was just delightful.
Mhm.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Especially like she showed off some things that were on perforated paper.
Yeah,
that
was
has held up over the years, and that was amazing to me.
I know, because one of the reasons I've been hesitant to even stitch on paper is I sort of see it as a gimmick for making ornaments for the tree.
Sure.
You know, like you can get all the Mill Hill kits that are on paper, and
Uh-huh.
I feel like, okay, yeah, because they'd only last a year or two.
Except we've been doing this for several hundred years, and some
Right.
of this stuff's still sticking around.
Right.
So
that was very impressive.
that was
to me.
very cool, as well as the history element. Cissy did a really good job of telling us about the original sampler maker that then inspired the motifs in the sewing bag and the needle book that we were working on.
Yeah.
That was very interesting.
Anytime you spend a day, several hours in the company of fellow cross stitchers, just talking about the craft, whether you stitch at all or not, it's a lovely way to spend a day.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. With fellow makers, like
Mhm.
you find that you are with your people.
Yeah. We really did have a great time. We enjoyed all the way there and all the way back. We get to chat and, no children in the back seat, no husbands in the back seat.
Oh man.
It was great.
Oh man.
We had a good time.
It was a mini vacation. I loved
That's
it.
right. It was good. All right. And so Tar Heel State Stitchers, by the way, if you're a North Carolina stitcher and you haven't joined that group on Facebook, I highly recommend it. Terry does a great job running that event. She's, oh gosh, I don't remember her handle on there. It's like Lizzie Joe. That's not right.
The magic of editing.
Exactly. So anyway, it's a great page. And on that page, if you are a North Carolina stitcher and you're on the eastern side of the state, then we would encourage you. Right now, you can find the registration for an event we've got coming up here that we continue to call Stitch East.
Oh, I'm so excited for Stitch East, you guys.
It's going to be on March 29th this year back at Brook Valley Country Club. We have openings for up to 50 people. Very excited to be able to host that again.
And what was really fun is last fall, I was one of the vendors at Stitch East in that event. And it was so fun to just have all my crochet and knit things set up for people to be able to look at. I did sell some things, which was fabulous, but really it was more that I got to show some of the things that I make and then have lots of time to sit and stitch. Even my husband, Mike, who came to like manage the technical aspect of swiping credit cards and whatnot, got to sit and actually stitch with me for a little while. So it was a beautiful day.
It was a lot of fun.
I'm really looking forward to this time because I am actually designing cross stitch again. And it's been a while. Mike found a fantastic source called Floss Cross where you can design your own cross stitches. I kind of had too much fun with it, probably, but I will be doing the freebie design that we're going to give to everybody that attends Stitch East. I'm so excited, you guys. The daffodils will be in bloom and it's just going to be fantastic. So I hope that you're able to join us if you're local. We don't expect you to come from Australia and Texas and all the other
No,
places.
it is a one-day event. It was funny. I was talking to Sandra, who's sort of the brainchild of this whole event, and she said, I should have called it a stitching day instead of a retreat when we first started talking about it, because it's less a retreat. But if you want to turn it into a retreat, you need to come up the night before, stay in a hotel, just be there for the day of stitching, stay in the hotel the second night, and then drive home. Who are we to say?
That would be so relaxing.
Yes.
Like, that sounds lovely. So if you want to do that, do it. That sounds great.
Yeah. And if you are doing that, please let us know, because we'll totally eat dinner with you.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like fun.
We're always there when it comes to food.
No doubt. Okay. Well, I think that catches you up on where we've been since Christmas. I'm going to go ahead and start, I think, with some finishes that I've accomplished.
Well, should we mention our quilt first?
Well, I guess we can talk about the quilt of the day first. So this quilt is called Charm Pack Chili. It is a free pattern that you can download from Fat Quarter Shop. I was asked to stitch up an example of it as part of the debut of their new free pattern. So that was really fun for me. I chose Corey Yoder's line of fabric called Starberry. I love it so much because I doubt you can see, but Mallory will put in some pictures, that these fabrics have little tiny sheep on them.
They're so
cute. My maiden name is Woolly. You guys are going to get tired of me saying that, but everything that has sheep on it was designed for me.
Absolutely.
That's the rule. It's just the way it goes. So anyway, it's a fun quilt to make. You start with 5-inch squares with the charm pack. It actually takes 3 charm packs to make this size. I selectively eliminated the color family that was the tan color so that I could use the tan color as my background. So I prefer to do that rather than just buy like solid white or something. I like using a background fabric from one of the color families, and I just liked this a little better. I wanted the whites to pop up off there. So,
and they definitely do.
Anyway,
So
it was super fun to make. I highly recommend it. I'll link Fat Quarter Shop's FlossTube tutorial on I guess it's a YouTube tutorial because it's on their quilting channel. But I'll link their videos so that you can watch how Kimberly made this quilt, and check out the blog post if you want. So it's called Charm Pack Chili. You can find a kit for it for sale on the Fat Quarter Shop website. It's adorable. It was fun to make.
It's so cute.
Okay.
All right, so now we're actually jumping into cross stitch.
I think we're ready to talk about stitching.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the WIP parade, I told you that I was doing 2 WIPGO boards. One that was my smalls and seasonal stitches, and one that was my samplers and stitch along SALs. So I get 4 pieces every month now that I work on for WIPGO. And I decided that I would switch those out on Wednesday. WIP Wednesday makes perfect sense to me.
Totally.
And so the first WIPGO call that I had for the month of January was Seaside Tiny Town. Seaside Tiny Town is one of those pieces that I had started. I actually meant to bring my attempt and fail, and I forgot to bring that.
That is okay.
But I gave up on the piece of linen that I had, and instead I switched over to Ada, and I started over, and I finished it completely, and I got it fully finished on my scissor holder that I was so excited. Now I'm going to move the scissors only so that you can see the whole stitch.
And it's so sweet.
And so I deliberately bought this scissor holder from Pete's Bee Skeps on Etsy 2 years ago, knowing that this pattern was coming out from Cecilia, because I had a vision that I would change the lighthouse to be the Ocracoke light, and that I would put Ocracoke in the sign, and even that instead of saying C over here, I put OBX for Outer Banks, which, by the way, we've had a little snow here this week, and you have not seen beautiful pictures until you see the Ocracoke Lighthouse in snow.
Oh, it's so gorgeous.
It was so
It
beautiful.
looks like fairy tale pretty.
It was so beautiful. So anyway, I finished stitching this and quickly went straight to my sewing machine and put a little piece of interfacing and backed it, turned it inside out, top stitched it, put a couple of ribbons so that I can tie it on this piece. I have a nice collection of the Tiny Town patterns, and I have every intention of changing this little decoration out seasonally. But I'm just so excited to have Ocracoke on there that right now I'm not even in a hurry to start a new pattern.
No.
So I thought I would start the Valentine Tiny Town. I forgot what it's called. It's like Blooming Heart or something, but it's very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to wait. I'm just going to enjoy this one.
It's so nice to have the seaside one finished because we're island time and this is our island.
This is our island. Nice. This is our place. We're going there in May on a family vacation. We're all very excited about it. So anyway, exciting. I love my scissor holder. I love having Ocracoke on there. It makes me very happy.
It's beautiful. Well, one of the pieces that I finished was actually completed during Jingle Ball. So this is winter stitching with the housewives, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I already had this frame, so I literally just popped it into a frame that I already had. It's not perfect. I didn't even do any lacing. This was just put onto a board and stuck in there. But I had some fun with finishes this month, so you'll get to see some of my other finishes too. Great. That one's been hanging on the wall up there, reminding me that it's still winter.
Well, on New Year's Day, I did do 12 by 12. On New Year's Eve, I started at noon. Every hour, I had an alarm go off on my watch, and I switched projects. And so I kind of planned out what I wanted to stitch. This little boo bag from Fat Quarter Shop, it's so cute, and Shepherd's Bush was one that I had bought back in the fall when I was ordering some other stuff. And I love these new small mesh bags. If you hadn't seen them at Fat Quarter Shop yet, they're so cute. I mean, look how small they are. And so they match the larger Mad for Plaid project bags. It makes a really nice place where you can keep all of your flosses or, whatever. With this particular project, I didn't even take my floss off of the skein. I just dropped them down in there. And then I used a persimmon, a Weeks Dye Works persimmon that I ran out of. And so when it was time to fill in this pumpkin, I was like, you know what? I'm out. That's the last strand I had of that. And I just pulled the DMC that had been called for. So he sort of looks like Homer Simpson.
He's got a little beard.
He's got a little beard. It's fine. It's a project bag, right? So I just, when it didn't match well, I was like, do I undo that? And I probably won't.
No.
I don't tend to go backwards.
No.
Anyway, it makes a great little project bag for inside your other Halloween project bags.
That is lovely. Well, another one that I finished during this period of time, I'm going to go ahead and pull it out here. Oh, this is one that I saw in the Jingle Ball that was by LindyStitches. Stephanie showed this and I immediately went, I have to stitch that. I have to. It's called Dust of Snow. And what I thoroughly enjoyed is Mom was like, oh, I have the perfect fabric for that. And went out and pulled her Ada that she had bought years ago with her best friend Joyce and had intended to have something snowy stitched on it. So this was just right. This is Dust of Snow. And one of the things I thoroughly enjoyed about working on this piece was that I was able to basically take a page, was a quarter of the design, so I could just work a page at a time. And my husband found this gorgeous frame for me at Hobby Lobby and was a little concerned that it wasn't going to be the right size, but we got it home. I laced it up onto a piece of mat board and it was perfect. So it's just got the backing here with a little piece of string so that I can hang it from one point instead of two. But I loved working on this piece, especially at the beginning because the Ada kept having those little bits of strands come off and it looked like I was covered in a dust of snow. But it was just a lot of fun to stitch on, and this crow just makes me happy. So he's right now living on my wall upstairs, and it's the perfect place. We'll just have to see where he goes with time.
Yeah, if you're looking for that pattern, it's LindyStitches, A Dust of Snow. I'm not sure if it's available. It may have been a Jingle Ball exclusive, but I would check the LindyStitches.com website and see if Stephanie has it available for you to purchase now. Such a beautiful design. I absolutely adore it. Yeah, I was thrilled when Mallory was so attracted to it because that meant I didn't have to stitch it right away because I have quite a few things going on already. Another thing I finished because of WIPGO this month, my second small WIPGO call was Patriotic Tweet, which I knew it was coming up when it was the 12 by 12 time on New Year's Eve. And so I worked on this for a little while on New Year's Eve, and then I finished it on the Wednesday that it was the WIPGO call. It's called Patriotic Tweet. It's by Teresa Kogut. And Teresa's pattern actually has established 1776 in letters down at the bottom, but I decided I was not going to put that on there. I just liked the way the bowl looked with the bird and the flag. I thought it was beautiful.
And what linen background is this?
That's a really good question. I think this is the rest of the piece of linen that I had gotten for Vibrant Flowers.
Oh, okay.
So it's whatever the called for linen was for Vibrant Flowers. It's a needle and flax linen, but I'm not sure which one.
That's okay.
So,
yeah.
But it's the other half. I had just, I cut half for Vibrant Flowers, and I said, oh, I bet I can get a couple of those Patriotic, on this. So
yeah.
Look at me showing my backside. I'm kind of cheeky. There you go. All right. So Patriotic Tweet was my second WIPGO call and finish, which made me super happy.
Very fun. I worked a little bit on a piece that I had started in 22, I believe. We went to Dying to Stitch together for Mother's Day in 2022. And while we were there, I remembered, oh, I love cross stitch. So I had purchased several patterns for myself there, one of which was one of those bag finishes. I had purchased the one that says Scary, but I had not stitched it correctly. This is my newest stitched Scary. Now, back when I first started working on this, I didn't know how to work 2/2. So this is my little Scary. So it's a little scary on this side, and then it actually fits on this side. So if you're curious to know what it looks like to work 1/1 for one of these patterns when it calls for you to work 2/2, there she is. But I'm really pleased with how it looks on this side and where I've come as a stitcher, because I definitely have learned a lot over the last few years. So this is Scary. I believe this is a shepherd's bush pattern.
It is.
Yes, and it's just so cute, the smoke coming out of the house saying, eek. So completely out of season, but I don't care. I just had fun with it.
If you've never stitched on one of the Mad for Plaid bags, they're a very satisfying finish.
Yes.
And they're so useful. I mean, and I feel like you ought to have one on the go anytime you're going to travel, because all of the things you need to work on it can be kept inside of it while you're traveling. And it's large enough that you don't need a lot of magnification to be able to see and do that. And then it's so useful when you're finished with it.
So my Scary bag has my hoops inside. I don't know if you can see all my hoops here.
Right.
But since I work mostly in hand and I've been a little scared of hoops lately, this is perfect.
There you go. Well, I use my bags to store things in as well. So that's really nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any more complete finishes? Because what I have are just whips from here on.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll show some more. One of the things that I've been enjoying, like I said, with Floss Cross, I've been able to do my own designs. And so I had the beautiful Stitch East pattern that I worked up on Floss Cross. I also had an idea in my head for a while that now that I have Floss Cross, I was able to actually put a pattern together that I could work from. Mom very frequently works on reproduction samplers, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. But when I heard reproduction sampler, my brain went a different direction. So this is what I have finished in the last month. This is my reproduction sampler. Oh, and I probably should have given a warning. If you don't like biology, look away. But
yeah, I'm going to put something behind it just so
this
it doesn't
is
shine
a
through.
sampler that I actually worked this as my blessing sampler for January, which is hilarious. But this is a sampler about reproduction. So I had fun kind of in the same style of that hen that I made into a pillow a couple months back.
The Bent Creek pattern.
Yeah, the Bent Creek pattern. I kind of had fun with it and made the capital S look like a little sperm. And then every time my children would walk in on me working on this, they'd go, "Oh, Mom, are you like 12? But it made me so happy. And this is going to be a gift for one of my best friends who is a midwife.
Perfect.
Right?
That's the perfect reason to make a reproduction sampler.
I tried to make this pattern available for anybody that wanted to also work it for free on Ravelry, and was informed by Ravelry that this doesn't use yarn, so it's not okay. So I'll find someplace else where I can publish this pattern. If you're interested, let me know. I can always just email you the PDF. But it was a lot of fun for me to work on and made me giggle. So it was just a thing.
Yeah, if you'll send me an email at stitchingonislandtime@gmail.com, I'll make sure you get the PDF.
Yeah.
It's very cute. And you know,
works up
it
fast.
uses like 4 floss colors,
4,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
So,
and what I love is my friend who's getting this, her favorite color is black. So on the black background, it really pops. The actual pattern, I wasn't able to change the ground color of the fabric in Floss Cross. So if you want to do it on a paler color, the light colored word here in the middle won't show up as dominantly.
sure, you could just change its color to black or
you
something.
Could, yes. So you could change its color, or you could make people go, "What does that say?" Get up close to it and then be embarrassed, which is also fun.
That is fun. Again, we're a biology approving family in this house. So
very much so.
We like science here. We're not embarrassed by the way science works. So,
but it was a lot of fun to stitch on
because
it really did make my children roll their eyes, which is funny.
That is a bonus, really, when your kids are 10 and 13. That's what they deserve, right?
Thank you for birthdays. Now I have a 10-year-old, so no more kids in the single digits for me, and a teenager. What? Which is weird since I'm a teenager. I don't get that.
It's fair.
The math isn't mathing.
No.
Anyway, I had for Christmas gotten a wonderful assortment of patterns as Christmas gifts from Mom. And they were all the Primrose Cottage Christmas cocoa pack. And it was just so delightful to stitch on. But this is one that I wanted to show because warm winter stitches, I feel like it's still seasonally appropriate. I've got all of my other Christmas ones will be finished for next Christmas. But I wanted to show that I did the Lori Holt lacing tutorial. And look how cool that is. It just pulls the fabric nice and tight on the back where you've got it on mat board with a little bit of quilt batting as interfacing. So here I've got my quilt batting. I literally just glued with Aleene's glue onto my mat board. This will be the side that I'm going to cover with cotton fabric. And then I'm going to back them to each other and sew those together and give it a little bit of cord around the edge. Turn it into a little stand-up.
That'll be great.
I just think it's so cute.
It's very cute.
All right, but that was my last finish.
That's awesome. Well, I had a couple of, I'm going to call them whips, but they're so seasonal that I probably won't touch them again until Christmas. And so they were new starts that happened after we saw you last. And so I wanted to talk about them. One of them is Zuzu's Petals, which I ordered from Beth at Heartstring Samplery because she had a kit. So Beth puts all her stuff together so well, and it was a lovely little kit that you got the lid to the mason jar. I had the mason jar at my house. But you got all this stuff for the inside. I'm going to turn the light on so you can see how that works. If I can find the little, if I can find the, oh, there it is at the top. My hands are too full. There we go. So it's got the little fairy lights. It came with the rose petals and the fairy lights. And then there's this design that you stitch Zuzu's Petals around the outside. So I got a nice start on that. The linen was included and the floss because it's a kit. So I got a nice start on the center of it. And I decided to use my Jingle Ball splurge, which was to buy the Christmas set from Matt Twist at Heartstring Samplery. He makes all of these adorable little bobbin floss keepers and the little stand. And so I've had this sitting next to my stitching chair all month, and I just put the 4 colors that of red and pink that are required for the Zuzu's Petals pattern. So I've had this laying there. I may keep working on it off and on because it's just so sweet. And it's really just a nice little Quaker looking design that goes around this jar. So I thought it was sweet. It's similar to finish it the same way I finished my Seaside Tiny Town. So it'll be a lickety split little finish.
And what I love is this year we all watched It's a Wonderful Life together as a family. And my husband, for the first time in his memory, got to see it. We watched the colorized version, which I had never seen before. That was so fun. And my children were just like, oh man, so many pop culture references come from this movie. And I just had to laugh and say, yes, they do.
Yes, they do. They, it was fun to watch. They're old enough now that, you know, they're just, they're realizing so many things like that. And so we watched that as our Christmas Eve movie. And that was a lot of fun. We watched it during the day on Christmas Eve.
That was fun.
Then Christmas Tide was upon us, and I started Kathy Haberman's Christmas Tide Sampler, which was an exclusive with the Homespun Needleworks group on Facebook, and I had ordered it the month before, and it arrived just in time for me to get a nice start. It was not something that I managed to finish. Another black piece that we probably need to back. I didn't get finished with it. I haven't put it away yet, but I haven't been working on it, you know, every day or anything. It requires daylight and attention, and I've actually been busy with quilts in January, back to work. So I haven't gotten a lot done on it, but it's a joy to stitch. I love these wreaths, probably too much, honestly. I need to just turn one into a pin cushion or something that I keep right beside me because I think they're just so beautiful. I love Kathy's designs.
And you know, I forgot to mention, like, thank you for showing your cross stitch finishes. The other finishes that I have aren't cross stitch. So if we want to do like a Mallory's yarn finishes section at the end of this video,
oh sure,
stick around and you can see the things I've been making. My children this year both received sweaters, handmade sweaters that I made for them. So I'll show those off at the end of the video.
Well, before I move into my regular whips, I'm going to show you what my book of days looks like. This is why I have too many whips. So I tend to do, gosh, I'm going to say 3 or 4 different things a day. I just don't work on one project. In the morning, I'll work on one for a little while. I'll switch to a second one. In the evening, I'll work on one for an hour or 2, and then I'll switch to a second one. So sometimes 4 things a day. And that's great, but it makes my calendar look really, really full. So I'm going to show you the first one that I worked on this month.
Ooh, I should grab my pile.
After I finished Seaside Tiny Town, my second WIPGO call of the month was actually Vibrant Flowers. And I have this in the SAL part of my WIPGO. This was a stitch along that Tara Sullivan, who's LindyStitches here on FlossTube, started for her birthday in April. And I joined in. I ordered this directly from Rachel at Needle and Flax so that I could get this gorgeous fabric whose name I'm not remembering. But I will let Mallory know and she will have told you, and I won't be as stupid as I'm sounding right now. I've made a lot of progress this month. I've been very pleased with how much I got done with a week of attention, because what happened was when I finished Patriotic Tweet so quickly, I just went, oh, well then I won't put Vibrant Flowers away and I'll work on it a few more days. So I really just have the flowers that are on the right side of the house to do down to the ground. and the fence across the bottom. And so we have another, week or so in January, and I may manage to finish this before the end of the month. I would love to. It would be cool to mark 3 finishes off out of 4 on my WIPGO in 1 month.
And it's so beautiful.
Yes, and I love it. It's stitched with NPI, which is always fun. I mean, I just love the way NPI feels. NPI, I like overdyed silks too, but there's an advantage to NPI because it's light stitching with DMC that never tangles. So it's just, it's a beautiful silk, and it's a solid color silk. And so you can stitch Danish style without any problems showing up. You don't get a amalgamation of color like you do with overdyes if you don't stitch 1X at a time, or you can stitch 1X at a time if that's the mood you're in. So I switch it up. I go both ways. I don't ever know.
Well, speaking of things that tangle, I have been working on this beautiful piece that Mom got me for Christmas, Easily Distracted cross stitch, and it's on this gigantic, hold on, I gotta show you. This gigantic bag.
Right? Look at this.
Oh my gosh.
We're now invisible. Look at that.
And one of the things that has been slightly annoying to me about it is it's worked in pearl cotton using a tapestry needle. And pearl cotton just tangles in a completely different way as DMC does. And so as I'm stitching, I'll frequently go, okay, how did I get a knot here? Oh, it's not a knot. It's just folded on itself and pretending to be a knot. Cool.
Right.
And so I've been working on that piece. You'll notice that I have not finished my birds yet, but I have started making changes to the pattern because I'm easily distracted. I'm going to turn this bird is going to be black and green like my chickens.
Nice.
I decided I needed to have a little bit of an homage there for my chickens. And then I didn't really like the way the Easily Distracted looks at the bottom. It's done in multiple colors, and I think to push the fact that, you're easily distracted, I'm going to do mine rainbow colors with my name.
Nice.
Because why not, right? So it's going to say Mallory across the bottom instead of Easily Distracted. I'll show you when it's done. I'm excited for that. I'm going to do just this very small rechart just for the words, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. It has been just a delight to have at my bedside table. Oh, and another trick that I have found is I've repurposed my little hen pillow. It's now my pearl cotton holder. So my little fringe up here, where I've got all my different colors of cotton, has just been worked into the crochet border that I did for my hen. And it's the perfect size to go down into the bag. And I balled up all of my pearl cottons because I am a knitter. It made more sense to have them in balls than anything else.
Well, when you buy Valdani, which is a 3-strand cross stitch floss, they come in balls like that. So
there you go.
There you go. That works great.
The more you know.
My 4th WIPGO call. So I had 4 calls this month. My 4th WIPGO call was this past Wednesday on the 22nd. I was to start working on Halloween sampler. Halloween sampler is from Crochet A Go-Go. I love it. It's January, and we woke up to snow that morning.
Yes.
So Halloween sampler did not fit the mood of the day. That's okay. I worked on it anyway. I made a lot of progress. I started by doing all the white outlining, which you may or may not even be able to see unless we put a close-up picture. But there's a little row of white inside that outer border. So I finished that because it felt right to be stitching white with the snow outside. And then I added all the trees that are across the top above the owl and the word Halloween and all of its spider webs. And a little bit more on the border detail. This border is very complex. I love it, but it's a busy border. So
I just love it.
Yeah, I do too. And so because I worked on this only for 2 days so far, I'll keep working on it this week. And I actually worked on it yesterday morning. And then by last night, I was like, I've got to at least work on winter a little bit. So I pulled out winter sampler, which I didn't bring to show you because I only worked on it for a very little while. But I also by Crochet a Go-Go that, I enjoy being able to work on both of those.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
I have several WIPs that weren't originally begun by me, but were actually begun by Mom. When we had a friend over earlier this week, we were talking about some, UFO'd projects, and Mom happened to open a box that had all of these gorgeous things in it. And I said, can I? So I am going to be continuing Mom's work on several projects, including this lovely one called Flea Market Baskets from Lori Holt. And it's just a beautiful finished piece. I love the colors. It just screams springtime to me. And so it's been nice to have like a little bite of springtime here in the winter. But look how well she's got this already organized with all the floss on this little floss keeper.
I told you when we did my WIP parade that I was not showing you all of my WIP. There's an entire box of things stitched on Lugana and 14 count Ada that I just UFO'd. I'm not interested in working on them anymore. They're not appealing to me. The projects are beautiful. It's just not the kind of stitching I'm doing. But I am glad that Mallory wanted to finish it because I'd made a lot of headway on this one.
It's so pretty. And so really the plaid border around the outside was almost complete. So I've just added a few stitches to that. It's nearly there. And then I'll be able to work on the fun part, which is all the baskets.
Yep.
So flea market baskets will be a really delightful way for me to be able to stitch coming into spring. And I'm excited for it.
That's fun. That's on Lugana.
Yes.
So probably a 25 count actually. So the stitches are actually even a little bigger than 14 count. They're 12
which
and a
is
half.
probably why I love it.
Yeah, it makes it nice. All right, so my next WIP is Anniversaries of the Heart. I'm currently working on Valentine Rose, which is the February design. I finished my January design, and I'll show you that. So it's actually a finish for the month, and then also the one I'm currently whipping on. I love what I finally did with this block. I changed the front color of the house. I changed some colors of the flowers, and I added in a little of the Lexington green into the border so that it would not be quite as invisible. I think I used flax in the snowflakes. My flax skein is very yellow, and so I brought more like yellow stars into the sky instead of snowflakes. So I made those a little more yellow. But I'm very pleased with how it turned out. And then I'm enjoying stitching. That house is no joke. It is all solid. So I actually think I'm going to stop this basket under the heart there. I think I'm not going to add its pedestal base to leave myself enough room because the February block is going to say DWM 1986, which is for my husband and my anniversary. Although our anniversary is in May. May is very full with other things that I want to attribute to May. And so February and the month of love, I really didn't have much else going on that month, though I am going to put, he and I actually share the same initials, DWM. And so I'm just going to put his monogram and then 1986, the year we married.
That's so sweet.
So I wanted to be able to stitch that over 2 and not over 1. Mm-hmm. The chart shows Rose Connigan, which is one of the Alma Allen's relatives, or Barb's, they're sisters, so they're relatives. And I'm going to replace that with our initials. So I spent some time last night. It was actually kind of fun. I watched Jessica's video where she talked about how she was only going to do 9 of the 15 and who she was planning on, attributing each block to. I was just going to take them one at a time and kind of just see how I was inspired and what I was going to put in them. And then I thought, well, maybe I better plan ahead. So I started making a list of my relatives and who I wanted to include. And of course, I have 15 blocks because I'm going to do the full design. And I actually went all the way back. My mother wrote a book, and she gave us a wonderful synopsis of our family heritage in this beautiful book with all the pictures. It's fantastic. And so by going through Mom's book, I decided in one of the bonus charts, I'm actually going to put the year of birth of John Tucker, who is my 8th great grandfather, who was
Wow.
born in Massachusetts in 1731. And
Wow.
so, and then he founded a Methodist church in Pennsylvania. And since we're diehard Methodists, I thought that was just a really sweet tribute. That's the oldest, furthest back ancestor that I know of that can be genealogically traced. So I'm going to put 1731 in there. And then, of course, Laura Mina McGarry, who is an ancestor that we talk about quite frequently. She's my 4 great grandmother.
I think it's 4.
Maybe 3. She's grandmother Tucker's mother.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my great grandmother. 3 greats.
3 for
you.
me.
Yeah. Anyway, Laura Mina McGarry. I'm definitely going to put her in there in one of those bonus charts as well. So some ancestors that we know their story, as well as then of course all my immediate family, or who I'm going to honor in my blocks, and I'll talk about them as that happens. You want me to show a few more because I have a lot more.
Oh, I only have 2 left, so go right ahead.
Okay, so Ducks in the Orchard is another stitch along we've got going. It's going well, I think. I work on it. I've worked on it maybe 4 or 5 days this month, but I definitely need to put in some more time because so far I've got a little bit of that roof in of the house, and I really would like to get half the house. I don't know that I'll make it, but I want to get a good bit more. That roof line it's super fun. But this is where I am. I love working on this Mackinac fudge chocolate brown. You'll notice I've had it in a frame. I took it out of the frame to work in a hoop because I work on everything else in a hoop, and I just found it easier to pop my hoop on and off. So
now Howard the Duck is lonely on his empty frame over there.
He is. I'll have to find another frameable sort of thing.
Yes.
All right. I started Needleworker Sampler. I had no business starting this. This was a complete whim.
I love when you start. I had no business starting this.
Well, have you've seen how many whips I have, right? Okay, but this is a new start. Chris, my friend, the camping stitcher, stitched this for her blessing sampler. And that woman has got needles on fire at her house. She can stitch these large things so fast. I know she thinks she's not that fast, but holy smoke. So I just got a little start, but I do love it. I think it's so pretty.
Sweet.
So I had this fully kitted. It was just waiting to be started. I had all the floss there. I had the linen already ready to go. I had everything about it ready when she said she was going to do it. So I was like, okay, well then I'm going to have to get that out too. And I just spent a couple of nights with it. But a friend of mine had posted her finish of this on Instagram. And when I said, it is so beautiful, she said, do you want my chart? And so she mailed me the chart, and she mailed me the Valdani threads that are hard to find that are required in the chart. So I've got the 3 Valdani, and then I added the other colors of floss that were easy enough to find. So this is why I had to start it. I mean, I had no business starting it, but if you don't start them, you can't finish them.
That's
so it's
so
fine.
true.
It's fine.
It's so true.
Which is the same thing I did with this one.
Yes.
Okay, so this one's been kitted since the summer of 2023. This is Martha Evans, 1879. It's glorious. So many people have finished it because we started it for Brenda's birthday in 2022, I think. And so I've just had it kitted. I've had it fully kitted. I actually bought it from a D-Stash group. With most of the NPI, I think I had to order the 2 reds that are called for in the pattern. And so I started it, and I had it kitted, and I had already cut a piece of latte, which is by Fiber on the Whim. And I had it kitted, and so I went ahead and started it, and I started it in the center because I don't ever trust when I've cut my own fabric that I've cut the right amount or whatever. And, and I was pretty sure the design's going to be about 13 inches wide, so I've got room. But I wanted to do that berry basket, and I worked my way down on the berry basket, and I got down to the basket. And of course, I love stitching a basket like that because you can just look away from your chart and watch TV or whatever and stitch. Only when I started filling in the rest of the green did I realize that I had made this catastrophic error, and I had put one row too many on the final row of berries. And so they're a little rounder than they're supposed to be. I would have lived with that. Like, that would be fine, and I would have just moved on. But the words that say, learn to know Christ, which is really pretty much my life motto, are right there underneath this basket. And you only have 2 rows. And now I would only have 1 row. And I thought, I don't want the word no butting up to this basket. So I made the decision to start over completely because you can't rip out NPI. It's not going to happen. And certainly not that whole basket. That wasn't going to come out. And I'm going to repurpose this. I'll just turn this into a pin keep or something. That'll make me very happy. In the meantime, the other thing I had done on this is I'd accidentally started on the wrong leg of the linen.
So fighting that the whole time you're stitching as well.
So it was a little tricky. And I was afraid I was going to get off half a stitch somewhere because my inclination was to be stitching on the correct leg of the linen. So when I restarted, I went into my stash and I found Brea. In 2021, when I first started cross stitching again, I had the forethought, I accidentally listened to what Brenda and Laura said on their video, and I ordered a yard of Brea and a yard of Dolly Madison from Rachel at Needle and Flax. It was the most I'd ever spent on a yard of fabric in my life because I'm a quilter, and explaining to my husband why a yard of fabric was $120 was, kind of, and I just ordered them. So I've been cutting this Brea now for
4 years?
Not even, because I was scared of it for at least 2 years. It's 40 count, and I wasn't ready for 40 count, but I knew someday I might be. So anyway, so I ordered Brea, and I do love Brea with this. I think I like the color better with the overall look. And in one night and one morning, I caught up with where I'd spent 3 days fighting the linen. Now, trust me, I will just cut this away. I will absolutely use this latte for something else. Latte is one of my favorite colors. This particular one is a little greener, which is why I thought it would look good with this piece. But I will absolutely, Christmas ornaments, it'll be great for that.
And didn't you say that this might finish into a pen keep?
Yeah, definitely that part. But I mean, look how much I've got left.
Oh, certainly. But I was going to say, our smalls exchange for Stitch East this spring is a pin cushion.
That's true. And maybe this will be my smalls exchange, and maybe I'll be ahead of the game. We'll see.
You go.
We'll see. Okay, you want to show one?
Yes. So this is another one not begun by me, but actually begun by Mom, and that I am going to finish because it is so darling. It just says Happy Easter from the Tiny Modernist, and it's just so cute. And what you don't know is that Mom loves Easter, and we have so many Easter decorations. And she said that she had already found a little bunny that this is going to work to finish into its tummy.
Yes.
So when we finish this, I'm going to finish it in a round and put it on the tummy of a little wooden bunny. How
it's
cute
actually
is that
wire, but it's very cute.
How cute is that going to be? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So it already had a needle in there, and look at what a huge start she
because
has.
I'm super organized.
But it had so much of a start already, and there's just so little of it to go.
Yes.
So this one's going to work out pretty quickly. Everything in the
Frankly,
bag.
when we inventory all of the rest of those projects that are UFO'd, you'll say that about a lot of them. Wow, it has such a start already and there's so little to go. And I still just abandon them with alacrity. I don't mind.
When it stops sparking joy, like
Exactly.
when you're no longer having fun, this is a hobby. It should be fun.
Yes.
And when you're no longer having fun, set it aside. Do something that does spark joy for you.
And, you know, there may come a day where my eyesight deteriorates to the point that I will need to have something that's on 14 count again to be able to stitch.
Right.
So this is one that I've started this month. I started on January 1st, and then we were working on it on Sundays. My friend Beth and I, she's a Red Cross stitcher, are stitching a Savior's Praise as our Sabbath stitch. And I love this piece so much. I saw a finish of it in person when we were at the Barefoot Needle Art Retreat in October. And I've seen Lori Holt's finish, which is just glorious. And so I had just finished that Santa wreath on this flax linen and decided I enjoyed stitching on it so much that I would do a Savior's Praise on flax. So you see how large it's going to be.
Oh, wow.
And this is where I am. I started in this upper right corner. These are the Vicki Clayton silks. I actually cut mine and put them on floss drops, and I'm loving that. And I'll always do that from now on.
It makes it fast for pulling.
So fast.
Yeah.
And they are so much easier to work with than on bobbins. I don't mind them on bobbins, and I'm not taking any of the current whips that I have with Vicki Clayton silks. I'm not redoing them, I don't think. But from now on, when I kit with those silks, I will probably put them on floss drops. But I loved starting in this corner. It meant on Christmas Day, not Christmas Day, New Year's Day, I stitched the word peace, which is certainly always my hope for our world. And then I love being able to stitch the greatest of these is love. I'm moving over to that middle basket and then across the top, and then I'll start working my way down. So
it's gonna be so lovely. I didn't even see the piece until you said that, though.
I know it's so faint right there.
Pale,
yeah. And I think that's what I like about it. Below piece, there's room here to put the year that you finish. So, you know, 2029 will probably be about right. I don't know.
If this is
but
your
I am
Sunday
working on it every
stitch
Sunday.
Every Sunday.
And I bought the PDF. I bought the paper chart and then realized there was a PDF. So I also bought the PDF and I have it in markup. And that makes it really nice. It also is a self-defeating thing for a number person like me. One Sunday, I pulled a piece of floss, I was stitching along, finished that, went to check my stitch count in the info, and I had stitched exactly 1,000 stitches on the chart at that point. And I went, oh, well, then I have to stop for the day.
Your OCD would not allow you
it would
to do
not allow me to do anymore. Now, I then worked on it the next Sunday, and that was a whole different thing.
Sure.
But on that Sunday, at 1,000 stitches, I was like, well, that's all I can do.
Well, I have to stop. There's
That's
nothing
right.
I can do about it.
That's right.
I don't make the rules.
My brain makes some weird rules. It definitely does.
That is funny. I have one left.
Okay, and I have one left.
Okay, so this one is gorgeous, and I can't show the finished picture of it because it's actually the chart, but it is called Best Witches. And what I absolutely adore about it is these two little witchy girls look just like my children, Gingersnap and Gumdrop. And I'm so excited to get this finished, and I might actually do their real life names at the bottom. I haven't decided yet, but it's just so sweet that they have a redhead and a blonde, just like my real life witches.
Well, and honestly, I really thought this was one that I was going to finish. You know, I love it for my grandchildren, and so I'm grateful their mother's willing to do it. And I had all of this is the stitching I had done.
Yes,
up until this
I have
point.
not touched it yet. That's why
So
this is simply a whip.
where it is. And I think it's on 18 count,
Mhm.
the pale gray gingham that you
Yes.
can get from Fat
And
Quarter
this is the
Shop.
same gingham I did for my winter
Mhm.
from Fat Quarter Shop. So it's fun to stitch on
Mhm.
because like you really don't see the gingham once it's finished, but it does make it delightful to pick up and
Yeah.
work on.
Oh, Kimberly says all the time that the magic of that, like she's like, I still don't know how it works, but it's by far her favorite thing to stitch on for Ada. She's 14 count, but then she always says, but you can't see the gingham after I'm done, so I don't know.
And so it
You
doesn't
know.
matter.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's definitely fun.
But they're so cute, and I just can't wait. That's going to be a sweet one to have done this year. We talked a little bit about having a Halloween ornament tree since we have so many Halloween ornaments.
Mhm.
So this would make a really sweet little one to go on a tree.
Yeah, that would be very sweet. I guess this is my last WIP.
Oh, and that pattern is by Emily Call, I failed to say.
Yeah, Emily Call. That's right. It was so long ago. It was back when she was still called Salt and Pepper.
Yes.
So Sarah Stewart Hardman is a WIP that I have going by Needlework Press. I won this chart from Katie Strachan on her FlossTube. I was so delighted when I won this chart, and it's got the wacky little sheep down in the ground there below the houses.
Emphasis on wacky.
Oh, they're so wacky. I love the poem says, see the kind shepherd Jesus stands and calls his sheep by name, gathers he feeble in his arms and feeds each tender lamb. So I just love it. Even at the top, it says time, how swift it flies. And you have to understand my obsession with time, actually, and space-time and the physics of space-time. And my husband and I had a huge conversation just yesterday morning about the physics of space-time. So anything that talks about that. And I think you can't get to be my age as a grandmother and a daughter whose parents are still living, and just recognizing how much has changed in my lifetime to, time really does fly very swiftly.
It does.
So this was Jessica, Sweetwater Stitcher's birthday start this year. And so when I pulled this one out and decided to put it in my WIPs coming forward into 2025, I thought, you know what? Jessica kindly does a weekly video, and I watch every single one of them. I don't ever miss anything she releases. All her specials. She's a fantastic floss tuber. If you're not following Jessica,
why not?
Run, go.
Go do that right now.
But I thought, I could stitch on Sarah Stewart Hardman every time I watch Jessica. And so just in January, I can't believe how much I've gotten done. I got that whole house in. I got all of the ground of the grass all the way up under the shepherd's feet. And I got most of the shepherd. His little face is over one. So I sort of, went, I'm going to keep going in the grass for a while. But this is a 38 count graham cracker tea set is the color of the linen. And so I loved it. I love how grungy it is. And, it really makes the sampler look old. And I did my own floss conversion for this. I had some of the called for, but many I didn't. And so I just picked things that I thought matched the antique sampler.
Mm-hmm.
And so this linen, though, is so easy to stitch on that it's really nice. Often I don't get to settle in and watch Jessica's video until right before bedtime. And so I'm finding that, Monday night at 10 o'clock, I can pull this out and stitch for an hour and watch Jessica. And I love that.
That's awesome.
So even if I just get an hour a week, that's an hour a week more than she was. I mean, all last year, her date, you'll see she was 7 years old, first of all. So I'm not making fun of her for these wonky sheep. She was 7 years old when she stitched this. And it was 1824. And so my goal was actually when I won this in 2023 was to finish it in 2024, I thought, for her, 200th anniversary. But
I mean,
so
best laid plans,
right,
and all of that.
So rather than beat myself up about not finishing it in 2024, I'm just grateful for how much I've gotten done in 2025. And thank you, Jessica.
And what an excellent way, like to be able to coordinate. Okay, I watched Jessica. That means I'm working on Sarah Stewart.
Yeah.
Harlan.
Oh,
That's
I
so
made
smart.
a list. I went ahead then and made a list in the back of my my
Book of
calendar in my book of days that when I watch Chris, the camping stitcher, I'm going to work on that needleworker sampler because she made me do it.
I blame you. Not really. But
Not
yes.
really, but yes. Brenda and Laura, I've got a WIP Only Once a Home that Laura finished that I started completely because of her, and I'm going to pull that one out. Carol, Saltbox Stitcher, I've got Mary Gibson that she basically said, stop watching me right now and go buy it. And so I did. So I'm going to stitch on Mary Gibson when I'm watching Carol. And then, of course, Tara, I'll finish up Vibrant Flowers. And when I finish Vibrant Flowers, then I'm going to work on that Halloween sampler because Tara loves Halloween.
That's perfect.
So there's my list so far. These are not the only FlossTubers I watch obsessively, but they're some of my favorites.
Yeah.
So, and in fact, I've got Karen Combs here and I haven't assigned her a chart yet. So I'm thinking Karen for now, whatever reproduction sampler I'm currently working on is the one I will keep stitching. But
speaking of reproduction sampler,
I
wanted to point out that I have this yucky looking blue masking tape the whole way around my reproduction sampler. Thank you to, what's that channel? The Stitching Gremlins?
Yeah, Thread Gremlins.
Thread Gremlins.
Yes.
Because they had been showing in their huge WIP parade for the end of the year that they had some very old WIPs that had masking tape and kept saying things like, that was from our masking tape era, ha ha ha. I thought it was genius because I had just finished Dust of Snow and it had gotten me all dusty and snowy. And working on black fabric that I didn't want to shed everywhere, I just finished it with masking tape around the edge, and it worked perfectly.
There you go.
So, you know,
so we
whatever works.
We can go back and move back into our masking tape era. Yeah,
That's right.
That's
I
right.
might be starting my masking tape era.
There you go.
This might be it, you guys.
That's great.
Well, that was it for my WIPs. On to haul.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Yes, I'm going to call that in on my WIPs too. I actually worked on maybe like 6 other things, but didn't make enough progress on any of them to bring them in here. So we're just,
That's fine.
follow me on Instagram at Island Time Quilting if you want to see absolutely everything I ever work on, because boy, do I overshare. You are more than welcome to follow me there. That'd be great.
All right, so for haul, first off, I got so many wonderful Christmas presents. I really wasn't anticipating I was going to have a particularly great Christmas this year because I had done all the purchasing and knew everything I was going to receive, except Mom bought me everything.
Okay, it was a
Everything.
great excuse because I want everything. And now Mallory is cross-stitching with me. And it was Christmas, and I said, oh, I probably shouldn't buy that for myself. Oh, I can buy it for Mallory. It's awesome.
Now, excluding all of the patterns and things that I've already worked on and the beautiful project bags, and this is probably one of my favorite things I received for Christmas. It's from the Palmetto South Designs. It's a little wooden tray. It's got rows here for you to put your floss bobbins on. It's got my name on it. This little piece of felt so that you can put your shorts when you're done. And then it's got a little chicken pincushion. And I have used this for everything since I received it. Everything. It doesn't matter if I'm working on a yarn project. This is my right at my elbow because I can stick my scissors onto the magnet.
That's fantastic.
And I always know where my scissors are, which is miraculous for me.
Right? Yeah.
I love having this little tray open so that if I have like a stitch marker or something that I need to just put someplace for a few minutes, I'm not putting it, you know, on my lap and then wondering where in the world it went in its extra dimensional travel. Instead, it's right where I put it.
That makes sense.
And it's fantastic. And I feel like I can mark the passage of time nicely by collecting all my orts right here. Because when I have a little pile like this from the morning, I go, oh, I've been so productive.
Yeah,
I clean
that
it
is
off
good.
and it's lovely. So this has been one of my very favorite things. It's just beautiful. It's simple. And I love it. As a chicken mama, the chicken print really made me happy too.
Yes, again, I don't remember where I saw this online, but it was one of those social media posts that somebody shared that they had seen, and I went, oh, that looks really cute.
Yeah.
So,
And Mallory needs that, and she was not wrong. So
yes,
it's been perfect, and I love it.
and it's an Etsy shop. So if you search for a stitching tray on Etsy from that company, I think you'd find it.
And I'm thinking my Etsy store, I could probably put my reproduction sampler there. And
With a price of $0.
Right, free. And so that people can just get that if they want
that
it.
might work.
That might work.
In the meantime, don't look for that. Just in the meantime, just email me, Stitching on Island Time. We'll get it.
Do it eventually.
Yes.
We're coming up to February, so maybe you'll want to stitch that reproduction sampler for a special someone. I don't know, but
here's what I bought for myself. So this is from 1803 Ohio Farm Baskets. It was their stitching basket. It has the tomato pin cushion. I have all my hoo-ha.
It's being used.
All my hoo-ha in here. But anyway, it has the tomato pin cushion already built into the center.
On like a little pedestal.
On a little pedestal here. I'll hold it up so you can see it better. And it's just lovely. It's just the right size. I've got a couple of different places I can stitch in the house, and
stitching nooks.
Yes, and the chair where I'm sitting in now is a little wider than I am, which is kind of something. And anyway, I'm able to sit this next to me, like right beside me.
At your
and
hip.
So I just keep here's the Anniversaries of the Hearts floss ring because I was working on it this morning. I had made myself this little Ort basket, and I literally just keep my scissors kind of standing up in it and drop my orts, and then I've got my corner gauge in case I need to start something on the fly. So anyway, I love it. It's just the right size, and I highly recommend it. She has a lot of other baskets for carrying project bags and other things, so
that's lovely.
Yep.
I love it. Now, this is something that I'm totally counting in haul. This is from the class that we took.
Oh,
but I'm counting it in haul because the linen is not something that I'm going to be working on in the immediate future.
Oh, sure.
So this will be going into my someday
or
section.
it'll be given to her mother, who would use it instantly because it's dirty teacup, people. We got a beautiful cut of dirty teacup from Needle and Flax in this project.
Yes. So thank you, Cissy. But I just love this huge booklet. Is fantastic. It has so much information and details and instruction that there's no possible way you could do it wrong. I laugh because I will find a way, I'm sure. But it is gorgeous. She even included this little card that's one of her collection pieces that she has. It's just lovely. And then all of the things were so beautifully arranged in the bag. I've now completely screwed that up. But
we got beautiful soie d'Alger silk and
ribbons and buttons and
all the things that we
blingy
needed.
Thread and just so many things that I went, I don't know what to do with that. And so I knew that it was going to go into a nice bag and stay pristine for a while I hyperventilate over how pretty it is.
Yes, but okay, so she says all that, but
I did start trying the nun stitch.
Yes, so Mallory did a better job than I did.
I'm attached. I'm sorry.
Are you?
Yes,
okay.
There you go.
Sorry about that. Anyway, she did a better job than I did of getting going on that nun stitch.
Well, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't stupid. It's a new stitch. I wanted to make sure that I understood what I was doing with it. And to be perfectly honest, I still don't know if I was doing it correctly.
Right.
So,
but we both started with the small piece and not the large piece because
I might actually work on that though.
Yeah.
The sewing bag is so large, it's a little intimidating to me. But the one that's going to be a needle book that could actually hold scissors.
Right.
I could see myself actually doing that. So I did start on that smaller piece of the dirty teacup and just got a corner in.
Yeah.
So that I could turn a corner in nun stitch and see what that looks like. What's nice about nun stitch is that it's going to finish without any additional fabric. It's going to finish with a raw edge from your linen that won't unravel. So that was fascinating to me. Sissy's not a big fan of sewing machines, and so she likes to do all of her finishes, things that you can just do by hand, which I'm a big fan of as well. And so
But the quilter in the room was like, yeah, I think I'm just going to stitch that project, slap it with a piece of lining fabric, and turn that thing inside out with my sewing machine. So non-stitch was fun and also not something I'll probably use a lot. I do want to learn hem stitch. And so that's going to be my next, I think, trying to finish something by hand is I've got, well, in this bag right here, I have a small sampler. So next things in my haul were that I landed a couple of the folders from Julie Just Sews. I love her folders. These are not the only bags that I've ever bought from Julie. Julie is Holly Jones, Mrs. Jones Stitches mom. And so I bought these two in her most recent sale. I didn't have any Valentine-y sort of bags anyway.
But that's lovely.
And I loved this, and I love how they're made. And this one's a little larger. Well, the first thing I did was move my current whip of Florence Law, which is just a little red sampler. It's not Valentine-y at all. In fact, Florence,
it's just red work.
Yeah, Florence says waste not, want not, which is not a very Valentine-y sentiment in my regard. But I do have this going, and I did work on this month, so I guess I'm showing another whip. But anyway, I thought when I finished Florence Law, I might finish her with a hem stitch around the outside edge rather than frame her. Although not that the back of my work is that spectacular. I'm not doing like reverse stitching or anything, but
that was something that was in the information that Cissy gave us.
Right.
There was a infographic in there about how to do reversible cross stitch. And I felt a little gnawing for my, whatever demon it is that makes me want to do things so OCD going, you could do that. You should try that. And I don't.
I don't know.
I'm quieting that demon right now. Right. Like, I'm not interested in doing that. So settle down.
Well, this one I don't have a whip in. I actually tucked into this beautiful yellow folder the Valentine's Day Quaker from Primrose Cottage. So maybe if I get a very seasonal desire this month, I will work on that.
It's so pretty. I love those little portfolio folders. They're
fantastic.
I
love them too.
Another thing that I wanted to show off that came from the day of stitching that we went to with Cissy, one of the ladies there has a jewelry business. She makes all sorts of little notions to go on scissors. And I received this as a present from her. Her business is called My Recycled Relatives. What I absolutely adore about this is it's got little needle, scissors, ruler, and button, but it comes with a magnetic back so that you don't have to poke it onto your clothing. You can just magnetically attach it to whatever you're wearing. And I thought that that was stinking brilliant. So Rebecca, thank you so much. This was one of the things included in my present. I also got like a piece of cardboard that had holes punched for, making it into a floss drop card.
Sure.
A couple of really cool things like that. A little Orts fabric container, and it was fantastic. Normally they do like a ticket drawing at Cissy's classes, and she has a limited number of presents. We had such a small class that everybody got a present. It was like being on Oprah. You get one and you get...
It was great.
It was fantastic. But this was by far the one that I went, ooh, that's something that I would never have gotten for myself, but I just love. So check out her store, My Recycled Relatives. She is fantastic and makes lots of cool things. So,
well, while we're turning this into an infomercial, I want to show this cross stitch buddy ultimate from our good friend Holly at Stitchy Pros. So Stitchy Pros was one of the designers at the Barefoot Needle Arts retreat that we went to. And Holly is just precious. Holly Freeman, she was very pregnant at the time. Now she has a beautiful little boy, Henry, as well as her other child. So, that was fun. So I saw that her business sells these cross stitch buddies. Now I've got it open at this end so I can pull it out. It's a clear ruler. It has... Here you've got your gauges to check to see what size Aida or linen you're stitching on. It has these areas here that you can wrap your floss to cut them to length. So you've got 18-inch, 24-inch and 36-inch, depending on how you like to work with your floss. And then here in the center, it has your corner gauge built in. So, and it's got a few other, you know, informational things here.
Needle count, what size needle you need with what size fabric you're working on.
Right.
That's so brilliant.
So I just loved this. I loved it so much. I ordered 2 for Mallory and me for Christmas. And then I lost them. And I have no idea where they went. They're still somewhere around here.
If we eventually find them, we will do a giveaway.
That's right. Because then I bought 2 more. Because here's the thing. They're fantastic. Holly and her husband run a wonderful little small business. I suggest everybody buy one from them. I think they're wonderful. And they've got a nice little hole on the end so you can hang them with your other rulers if you're a quilty type person like me and you've got a stack of them.
By the wall, yeah,
so that you can keep up with it. But I really like it a lot. I think it's a very useful tool.
It is.
Cross Stitch Buddy Ultimate, it's called, and Stitchy Pros. I'm pretty sure you can go to stitchypros.com and buy that.
Fantastic. Yes. And so now, because Mom has bought 4 of them, we're helping support their little business.
That's right.
And if we do find those 2 that went missing, we will give them away.
Yes, we will.
Make sure that you stay tuned. Who knows? Perhaps they will show up.
Maybe so. Do you have any other haul to show off?
I do, but it's yarn related.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show the rest of my haul. I also got this bag from Buckleberry, another Valentine-y sort of bag. I think it's just gorgeous. I know I make bags and I can make bags, but some of these bag makers just make beautiful bags. And so I've tucked in here all of my Stacy Nash animal crackers. This is my whole collection so far. I have 6, it looks like. I believe I'm going to start with Millie. Millie may be my first. But I bring this out to let you know that Tara is sponsoring a stitch along on Super Bowl Sunday that she's calling it Stand Up Sunday, I think, so that we can all start a stand up at the Super Bowl. And so I'm picking from these. I'm pretty sure I'm going to start with Millie, but I like Chili and I like Blizzard and I love Miss Hazel, which of course I showed you that I won Miss Hazel. She may be back there somewhere. With my autumn decorations behind this quilt. And Nettle, I just love Nettle. And, you know, what's not to love about Clovis? So
Clovis makes me think of Redwall, the book series. I devoured that when I was a young person, and badgers just are so happy.
I was watching FlossTube last night.
Uh-oh.
I already forgot who. Oh, Carrie. Carrie at Tiger Lily. She has her collection of Stacy Nash, and she had, I think, 3 or 4 that I don't own yet. Oh. And so I'm probably going to have to order those now.
I have 1.
Oh, yeah.
One singular one. And I think that's what I'll be working on Super Bowl Sunday. Henrietta, because she's a little red hen, and my sweet little red hens have reached old age, and I've lost most of that flock now, but I would really enjoy stitching that one, I think.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a bag I made myself, and it's a little oversized for the ones that I usually make, so it's kind of in the way. But but I made it this size because this was the size of squares I had, and that's just how it turned out. I bought Nora Corbett's Thimble Fairy, and I've got everything. I've got all the called for colors. I even put some bling on there because, you know, you can't work on a fairy and not have a little bling.
You need a little bling.
So, and I have the called for linen. So I'm going to be starting this soon. Mallory and I are going to the Nora Corbett retreat in Charlotte in October. And so I wanted to have, and after I look, you know, I'm not really a fancy lady kind of girl.
Right.
I don't have princesses, and you know, although there is that whole Christmas series with the sleigh and all the reindeer, and so it's very likely that I might get sucked into all of those at some point. But when I went through all the list of things that were available under the Nora Corbett brand, the sewing, the stitching fairies were my favorite, and so I'm starting with Thimble Fairy. I'm pretty sure I've ordered the others in that series, not the full kit, but just the chart to
The
make
chart,
sure I
yeah.
had them so that I could stitch those at some
What's
point.
interesting about this retreat is they have a brag table, but they want you to only show your finished Nora Corbett designs.
And they don't even have to be finished. They're very generous.
Right.
You can even just show your works in progress. So we'll see how much I get done on that. And I just wanted to be able to have one. You know, I feel like that's like playing by the rules. You know, you don't
Sure.
bring your...
Yeah, I still have not purchased for myself a Nora Corbett design yet.
Well,
So I need
there's time.
I need to look through and see what appeals to me from her stuff.
So I just wanted to talk about my February plans real quick because I got today is the 25th of January. And so I went and looked for my February WIPGO calls. So I know what I'm going to be working on next month.
Fantastic.
Which is great. And I was super excited. So the first thing up is my Stacy Nash Big Chicken, Little Chicken pin keep. And so I love this. I love stitching on it. It's on Brea. I kitted it on 40 count Brea. And I've made a lot of progress on both the chicken that I just really need to put flowers around her and her little red border.
Mm-hmm.
And then the edge around the pin keep is this very elaborate border, but it keeps going.
It wraps around.
It wraps around the whole thing. And then I haven't stitched the little chicken side of the pin keep at all. And because Big Chicken, Little Chicken falls into a small in my category, my goal for my WIPGO call is to finish it.
Ooh.
So we'll see if I get all the stitching done. I may call it a win if I did finish these two parts I've started.
Right.
Because I have not even started the bottom of the pin keep yet. But anyway, there's time. And that's my first call for WIPGO.
Mm-hmm.
My second call is Jingle Around the Block.
I love this one.
And this one I'm actually really close to a finish. So I think it is completely conceivable to finish it. I just have, you know, to replicate the Jingle Bell sign on this side. And then I have to decide if I want to actually turn it into the block, which I love, or if I want to just frame it flat like it's shown down here in the bottom.
Oh.
So, you know, I have some options.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. The third thing that I had called was my Crochet A Go-Go spring sampler, which I think is fantastic. If I'm going to work on one in February, it sure is nice for it to be spring. Look at this little pink bird I have going already. I just love this one. It's the same Crochet A Go-Go, all these samplers. What I love about them is I love the way the borders are laid out. I love the big white house in the middle. We live in a big white house, and so that makes me happy. I just love how similar they are. This one has sheep and ducks, which makes me super happy as well. So anyway, I don't know how much I'll get done. I won't try to finish this. It's not the plan, but I am glad to get to work on it in February.
It will be delightful to work on.
And then my last WIPGO call is a little bit of spring, which is one of my very favorites. And I am so close to a finish. Look at this beautiful thing.
Yes.
See, I think I might be able to finish that in a week in February.
Absolutely,
because I really just have this motif that fills here and then the little border flowers all the way around. So I think it's going to go lickety split. I put in a lot of work on this one, and I'd be thrilled to have it finished.
Is it going to go on your sampler wall?
Yes, it'll go on my sampler wall.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of spring by Blackbird Designs. So anyway, I was very happy with my 4 WIPGO calls for February. I think those are going to be a lot of fun to work on.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it when it works out that way. I also
sure.
enjoyed how completely chaotic the calls were for
in January. And I finished 2 of the 4. So, you know, and really 3. I'm so close on the third one.
Honestly, that makes it so fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who knew I would enjoy working on Halloween in the snow? Who knew? It was great. Yep. It was great.
Well, the last thing I have for haul is yarn related. So if we wanted to move past that, and then the folks that are diehard and stick around to the very end of the video can see the sweaters that I've knit and crocheted in my yarn haul.
All right.
From Christmas.
Before we move into yarn, let's finish up with cross stitch and quilting all together, and then we'll do everything with yarn. I have a couple of giveaways. These came from Fat Quarter Shop, and I just thought I would give them away on our show. We haven't done any giveaways up until now. And so I we'll see how that goes. We don't have 1 million followers or anything, so you have a really good chance of winning something on my video. This first one is the Stackables February design from It's So Emma and Fat Quarter Shop.
So cute.
It's very cute. I love it. I think I would probably pull those little kissing birds out and turn them into a pin keep. Like, I don't know that I'd stitch the whole stackable thing, but I think it's just adorable the way it is. So if you would like to win the February stackables, why don't you say February in the comment? That way I'll know you've capitalized it appropriately and I'm looking for the right word. That's always, every time I comment on one of these videos, I always think, gosh, how will they know if my ducks was supposed to be capital or not? Anyway, February, we all know, capitalize that word. Remember not to say giveaway or any of those things. Please be 18 years and older. All of the rules of giveaways on FlossTube. And then I love this 2-colored quilt. I think I pulled it to give away because it's red and white on the cover. But Home Again by Lori Holt is a perfectly wonderful beginner quilt pattern. And Lori is such a brilliant designer that she has it colorized in every color of the rainbow on the back.
That's fabulous.
So you definitely do not have to do this as a 2-color quilt. You could do each block as 2 colors. Ooh. You could do, you know, one single block and make a pillow. But this one is called Home Again. Just use the word quilt and do not capitalize it. All lowercase quilt. And this will be our giveaway. So we'll try these 2 and see how the giveaway response is. And maybe we'll come up with something even better next month.
That's fantastic. Well, if you are one of our recipients, you will find out in our next video. We'll contact them in the meantime.
Yeah, what I was going to say as far as eligibility, because we take longer than 34 weeks to respond, I'm going to say that the giveaway is open through February 15th. And then we'll choose winners and I will comment on your comment to let you know that you've won. And then you can email us, give us your address, and we'll mail it to you.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And like we said, if we find the tool from Stitchy Pros, we might have an additional giveaway.
Maybe so.
Yep. All right. So I am super excited with my yarn from this year. My sweet, sweet mother-in-law, the last time I visited them back in October of last year, saw me drooling on a collection of yarn that was purples and greens, my absolute favorite color scheme together. She bought enough to make a sweater.
That's great.
An entire sweater. So I've gone ahead and kitted this up for myself, put all the yarn in here. I've actually made from the same colorway before. And so here's a little ear warmer where I paired it with just a simple acrylic that just reads really nicely, but this colorway is just gorgeous. And it's going to be so much fun to stitch. It is Rios worsted superwash merino wool and WIPGO. It's delightful. It feels like butter. And so I've gone ahead and kitted it up into one of my normal containers for sweater making, an old sheets.
Sure.
A bag that once held sheets. And I've gone ahead and put my acrylic collection of needles there because I have not decided what size needle gauge I'm going to be working on yet. And I also got these beautiful stitch markers as part of my Christmas for my sweet little gumdrop. So I'm just excited to start this one. Sweaters have been what have really drawn my attention in the last year or so. And now that I've made some full-size sweaters, including the ones for my kids for their birthdays, I am excited to start one for myself. This sweater was made for my sweet Gumdrop, who just turned 10. These are in their favorite colors, and I really enjoyed this. It was a full knit in the round with circular needles, and I just put the arm stitches on hold so that I could finish the body. and then came back and finished the arms individually. But this poor black block at the end, for whatever reason, stockinette, had rolled so hard that there was only about this much of it showing where it had rolled in on itself. So I added a little crochet cuff and repeated the color motif again in the cuff. And what's really funny is Gumdrop says that's their favorite part of this sweater. The cuff on the sleeve.
Sure.
And it's already starting to get that nice fuzz to it where it's been loved and worn all over the place.
Yeah, they keep putting it on every single day.
I had to teach them how to find out if it was inside out or not. I said, see when there's a dotted line of color, that's the inside.
Right.
Because they kept trying to put it on inside out, and it was just so sweet. But yes, this has been the perfect size for them as well. So, yeah. And then this one for my 13-year-old, my teenager, she picked out these colors last year, and these are all very much her colors. But Gingersnap had also had a lot of artistic input when it came to how the sweater construction should be. So we had looked at pictures on Pinterest of these big blocks of color, and that was her favorite thing. And so what I did was constructed all of the crochet squares separately and then stitched them together with mattress stitch and finish with hemming of the cuffs and all the way around on the inside part. It is a crop sweater. If you're wondering why it's so incredibly short, she wanted it that way. Also, I had a couple of extra squares and asked, would you like pockets? And she said, of course I would like pockets because she's my child. And so we have some pockets here as well, which apparently have gloves in them from when we went to play in the snow. I asked for this sweater yesterday because I wanted to be able to show it to everybody. But these colors are just Gingersnap approved.
Yeah, it looks really great on her.
Yes, I've got a couple of pictures of the kids actually wearing their sweaters. I might share, but we'll see. Anyway, oh, and then the last thing I have, another yarn-related thing. This is going to be a gift for a church friend of ours. And her mother had purchased yarn for her to make into a blanket years ago. And then arthritis claimed her hands and she hasn't been able to stitch. And so she brought me the yarn and said, would you be able to finish this into a blanket for her? And I was so excited to get to work on it for them. This was 8 skeins of a super bulky acrylic yarn. And it finished with 35 granny squares in a 5x7 grid that I then joined with a continuous join method and then used every drop of yarn going around the border. So this one is going to be a very nice, very heavy. It's got a weighted blanket feel to it because of the super bulky yarn. Lap blanket, just a little lapkin.
That should be very warm. This is the perfect time of year to have a little lapkin, that's for sure.
And unfortunately, this was sort of a service project. And so now I need to start a new Sunday stitch because I always do my charitable work on Sundays. And now I've run out of things. I have to do
there
another
you go.
thing.
You'll find something. Mallory crochets like the wind blows. She is very, very fast at finishing these things.
Well, a skein a day keeps, I don't know, sanity at bay or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, sounds right. Sounds right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, FlossTube. I hope that you were able to sit and stitch while you listen to us be goofy and ourselves. And I hope that you guys are able to comment below with one of the giveaways, see who wins that. And we'll see you in February. We're getting real close to February already.
I know. We were sort of looking at, how many floss tubes we have before Stitch East. And we were like, well, we'll need to film in February at some point. Saturdays seem to be our best day. So we take a little time on Saturday morning and film. And then that gives Mallory some time to edit and release it sometime Sunday night, maybe Monday. But anyway, get it out into the world. And And so we'll have one opportunity to film. Maybe we'll film again before Stitch East, but we have 2 weekends in a row. We have Stitch East, and then we're going to Stitchin at the lake with
That's
Stitch
right.
and Kitten
Stitchin' Kitten.
at the beginning of April.
That's
so,
gonna be so nice.
yeah,
I'm
and
really
it's
looking forward
all
to
coming
that.
faster than we think. So
It's true. It just time keeps galloping at us.
there,
It's
time,
wild.
how swiftly it flies.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you again next month. Have a great end to your January, and Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year and happy stitching.
Bye. Okay.
Was that good?
I think so.
Okay.
It was, it's 11 o'clock, so it was still an hour and a half at least.
Oh, good grief.
even though we had less, even though we had, who knows?
We tried to organize better. We tried to go through it faster.
I think we did fine.
And I showed off the finish, but I've actually got it framed now. So I wanted to show off the winter from the Stitching with the Housewives. You okay?
Something went wrong.
No.
Please try again.
Did you hear that? Something went wrong. Please try again. My phone is talking in my back pocket. We'll have to cut that out.
That is fine.
All right.